just a couple of little things that we wanted to let you know about. Number one is at the end, this is our second night of a 3-part series. So after this 3-part series, there's another 3-part series that Rabbi will be doing called Bringing Out the Best, which is basically a self-esteem course for the family. It teaches you how to deal with yourself, with each other, and with your children, and how to build a self-esteem, happy, healthy environment in your home. Everybody should have a handout like this. There's some at the ends of the table, so if you don't have one, just make sure that someone passes you one. We also wanted to mention that at the end of the 6 weeks, we also have a course with the amazing Reb Zale Newman, which is going to be called Meaningful Date Night, which will also be on Tuesday nights. So if you already have your babysitter booked for Tuesday nights, this is a good thing to continue to do, to come and do that with Reb Zale. And also, his books will be available probably next week. We'll have them ready for people to buy. And was there something else I was supposed to mention as well? And if Rabbi Roll will stay for a little bit after the class tonight again. So if you'd like a 10-minute private consult with him, then you can sign up after the class for that, and you'll get a chance to sit down with him one-on-one and ask some questions. Okay? Without any further ado, please welcome Rabbi Roll.
Thank you, Ellie. The JFI is a very professional organization, and I'm delighted to be part of this organization. And I want to thank Ellie for organizing it. I want to thank Adrian Gold for organizing the program and for inviting me here to speak. And I'm delighted to really meet some real spiritually seeking, and really good people here in the program. So I look forward to meeting you personally as well, get a chance to talk afterwards and schmooze and get a chance to know each other. A hurricane on the outside and sitting by a fire, warming up with a cuddly family by the fireplace, is a metaphor for experiencing turmoil on the outside, anxiety, stress, worry on the outside, but maintaining internal calm on the inside. And perhaps that's what we're all doing in life, is facing the external stresses and worries of life and making a living, raising a family, finding personal happiness and fulfillment, and facing the challenges of life, and yet trying to maintain inner equanimity, inner serenity at the same time. So the hurricane is a metaphor for that kind of life experience. When a person faces these challenges, and you also learn the technique of going to the soul state, the neshama state that we talked about last week, where you go to your beautiful place, you go to a place where you experienced uplift, inspiration, motivation, top of a mountain, Niagara Falls, the Alps, Italy, Thailand, Baffin Island, and some people say a fireplace in my home or with my family. And you experience that inner peace. And you go to that place. That's a place of refuge. And you feel that that's a place of inspiration, where you find solace, you find comfort, you find happiness in that place. And you go there in your mind as an inner meditation. Go there for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And know that that place you feel is a place of equilibrium. You feel safe and whole and one with the universe. That's because on a deeper level you're experiencing oneness with yourself. And that oneness with yourself is your highest attribute. You feel one with yourself because you're experiencing your highest godly attribute. This is your relationship with God. So when you're connecting with Hashem or something bigger than yourself, and you're aligned with that consciousness, the higher self, then you will not say something critical to your spouse, because you're accessing your highest self. So this is a technique I'd like you to get used to and to use. And when I ask you to do the homework, which I asked you last week, to do the wheel, when you go to your highest self, when you go to the experience of feeling your soul state, or I call in Hebrew the neshama state, the soul state, and you access your higher self, you will then be in a position to be complimentary, to be praising, to be looking for the good in your spouse. So one has to leave the hurricane, the external hurricane that you're experiencing, work and stress and paying bills and kids and IEPs and working with teachers and calling at the office and picking up your kids and the stress of carpools and jazz ballet and hockey and all the stresses of life. One has to have a counterbalancing technique to be able to handle those stresses. So I'd like you to get good at this technique of going to soul state. It takes only 5 or 10 seconds. But one must practice it a few times a day when you're not stressed in order to be able to access it when you are stressed. So part of the homework for next week. So I'd like to ask you to keep a to-do list for homework. Because we said in our course that I'm going to ask you to do homework. And that is last week I asked you to sit down with your spouse for half an hour and share with your spouse what he or she did on their wheel of strengths. And advise them of it and tell them that you appreciate what they did. That is receiving positive feedback, positive compliments, positive information from your spouse. But ultimately, the responsibility for your own feeling good about yourself, your own self-esteem, is yours. And therefore, I want everyone to make 4 photocopies of your self-esteem wheel. So for homework, I want to make 4 copies of it. Put 1 by your night table, 1 on the fridge, 1 by your computer, and 1 in your car. And wherever you go during the day, you're coming face to face with your good attributes. Your intellect, your social skills, your personality strengths, your spiritual strengths, your family background strengths, your accomplishments, your goals. And when you constantly confront your true self, we're talking about your highest self, you will then gain a sense of self-reflection, self-esteem, self-evaluation, which is in a positive light. And then when your spouse says something to you which is hurtful, and they're going to do that, this course is not going to take away from your spouse the stresses of saying things like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you take out the garbage? Why didn't you do the homework? Why didn't you call me before you got home? Why did you tell me you were going to be late? You always do that. So then you can go to your own sense of self by building up your own self-esteem by your wheel of strengths and say, I hear what you're saying. It's a good point. Let's talk about it. Instead of coming back with a retort and escalating the situation. So I believe happiness, family shalom bayis, family harmony, is based on you. Not what your spouse is going to do, what you're going to do. If you work on yourself and feel good about yourself, then you can do this. So it works 2 ways. You're not going to want to put the other person down if you feel good about yourself, because you'll live and let live. I'm okay. She's okay. He's okay. I feel good about myself. I don't feel threatened or upset at what he or she is doing. Because live and let live. I feel okay. If you feel okay, then you'll project positivity. That's on one side. You're not going to come out with a dig or a pot shot or negative comment. And on the flip side, if you hear a comment which is negative, then you're not going to have to feel like you have to retort or come back, have a comebacker to have the last laugh. Because you say, I'm good. I'm good. She's upset. He's upset. Bad day, tough day. How can I help you do? So it works both ways. Now, when we're having our conversations, let's move to tonight's lecture. When we're having our conversations, and we're discussing things with our spouse, in our homework, this is level 2 of the homework, part 2 of the homework, when you are talking to to your spouse. There are 3 levels of speech. Tones of voice to use when you're speaking to your spouse. There is the level number 1, which is, I want to tell you that I saw today how you were studying with our child, and it was so special. So you bonding with our little girl, and you're doing the Aleph base with her, and you were studying math, and I don't care so much whether or not she gets the right answer, but you put your arm around her when you were talking, and that bonding, the sort of love connection that you had with her, I mean, she is so in love with you. I'm so in awe of the relationship you have with our daughter. It's really special. That is called level 1 tone. Level 2 tone is, how was your day? What's going on? When are we going to your mother's house? Pass the beans. Right? What's for supper? How's it going? Hey bro, what's going on? High five, low five, up above, you're in love. Right? That's level 2. Level 3 is, don't you ever go in the road again like that. You're going to get a big punch from me. Don't you ever put your finger in that socket again. Don't you ever hit your father. That's not allowed. Right? That's level 3 speech. Now, how many of us live our lives on level 3 speech? Be honest. A lot of us live our lives on level 3 speech. It's frenzied, frantic, frenetic, anxiety producing, feeling anxiety, stressed out, trying to keep our heads above water, and so therefore we're usually speaking, or often speaking, on level 3 speech. Most of the time, or other times, we're on level 2 speech. Passing information, goods and services, give and take of life. We seldom use the level 1 speech. But the level 1 speech, the intimate level speech, is reserved only for husband and wife. And when you speak in that tone, a sensitive, loving, respectful tone, then you're going to engender a sense of connection, emotional bonding, intimacy, which will bring about a closer relationship. So second part of the homework is, when you are conveying this information to each other in private time, after the kids are in bed, or over dinner, when you find some time together, or on date night, use this tone. It's a more gentle, sensitive tone, and it lends itself to greater intimacy. Now, when somebody in our family, our spouse, says something which is hurtful, I want you to draw a circle on your page, like this. And I want everyone to write on the outside of the circle, let's write down Hurricane Sandy. Over here. Hurricane Sandy. Now, Hurricane Sandy is something that we cannot control. We just sat there watching the news, watching the rain, watching the wind blowing, hoping nothing would break. Right? We had absolutely no control over Hurricane Sandy. Let's write down other things on the outside of the circle over which we have no control. Let's write things down. And if you want to share them with me, with the class, with the group, please go ahead and do so. What other things do we have no control over? Let's write them down on the outside of the circle. Other people's behavior. Okay? Behavior of others. What other things of others do we have no control over?
Other people's reactions.
Other people's reactions. Reactions of others. What else do we have no control over?
Events,
Behavior of others, reactions of others, what else?
world events,
World events. World events. Traffic. Good, traffic, excellent. Illness. Death. Taxes. Pardon? Everything? Someone say everything? Besides other people's behavior and their reactions, what other parts of other people's doings do we have no control over?
Emotions.
Emotions. Others' emotions. Other people's emotions.
Why are we so fatalistic about other people's?
Because these are things over which we cannot, well, I cannot control your emotions.
No, because you work with people long enough, maybe you could.
Could I control your emotions?
You can certainly influence.
I can influence them. Can I control them? If I say to you,
Control, no, but
Boaz, if I say to you, you're getting me angry, right? Or if it often happens with children, right? And next week we're going to talk about children and as a segue into the next 3-part course called Bringing Out the Best. And how children affect marriage and how we can deal with children. But if I say to you, you're making me angry, or two children say to each other, you're teasing me, I say to my child, no, she's not. She's not teasing me. She's just doing what she's doing. You are choosing to react and to perceive what she's saying as teasing. You can easily do something else. You can walk away. She's just doing her thing. She's just being her. But you are choosing to react by saying, oh, it bothers you. You could just say, it doesn't bother me. She's not teasing you. You're reacting. You're making me angry. You're not making me angry. You're bothering me. But you're not making me angry. You're doing what you're doing. You're poking me. You're making fun of me. Okay, go ahead. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Right? So I say to my children, when two kids are teasing each other in my family, I say, is it true that you're stupid? He called you stupid. He called you a nincompoop. He made fun of you. Or one of the favorite things is when they copy each other. Right? She's copying me. So she's mimicking me. Right? So she's bothering me. Is it true that you're silly or stupid or nincompoop? No. You know who you are? And then I take out my child's wheel on the wall to the kitchen. I say, you are helpful, you are kind, and you listen, and you're respectful, and you're caring, and you have friends, and you do try your best in school, and you're a good artist. Is it true that you're stupid? No. Well then, what he's saying, why does it bother you? Well, I don't know. It doesn't have to bother you. What someone else is saying, what your sibling is saying, it does not have to bother you. She's not making you angry. You know who's making you angry? You're making yourself angry. You're getting yourself upset.
It bothers you if you love the person and you care about what they think of you. Because then even if you have a lot of inner strength and confidence, if they are calling you, they think you're really not very bright, you do feel that. Because you love them. You don't feel like you don't like their favorite person.
So what the other person is saying, you're bothered because you love them and you want them to think well of
Maybe
you.
with other people in the world, you can, it's like water off a duck's back. But with your spouse, like it matters because you care what they think.
Right?
So it's hard.
It is hard, but ultimately the buck stops here with yourself. That is, if I feel that I am valuable and worthwhile and worthy and a good person, and I don't need someone else's approval, it's nice to have it. It's a luxury. It's a benefit. It's icing on the cake. Or many of us need our parents' approval. And many people see me in therapy and talk about the fact that they never got their parents' approval. And that they were never good enough. And never got enough grades. And never did well enough. And they walk into marriage with unfinished business of not feeling good enough. So when their spouse says something to them, see, my spouse is doing the same thing my father used to do to me. So I married my father. That's very significant. So I say to the other spouse, I say, you know something, do you know the unfinished business of your spouse? That she always felt criticized by her father? So when you're doing that, you are continuing the process, and you're supposed to be the one who is healing her from her unfinished business. And here you are doing the same thing. You must be aware. Love means knowing the other person's background.
I think that you need different sources to tell you that you're smart. It's not enough that you think that you're smart. It's in others we see ourselves. So if you have your wife telling you you're stupid, but you have 50 other people telling you you're smart, it doesn't bother you. But if you have many people telling you that you're stupid,